Alright, so we're a little further along now, and I'm adding some more latex glue. And what I want to do now is kind of bring the whole face together. So I got this piece that I shredded right here, and I'm going to do that and that. I like that a lot. That looks pretty good. Once again, tack it down. And I'm going to press a little harder here than I had been, because I want to lay that flat. Generous amount of latex on there. Come back over these eyebrows. I'm not liking them at all. Add a little cotton over here. So I think you get the basic idea on how this works. So I'm going to start completing a little bit more of it so I can move this video along and not quite be so boring. Alright, so you can see that I've added a little bit more on here, and now I'm going to try to work on the eyeball area and the upper part of the eye here. And we'll see how this turns out. I've carefully selected my piece of cotton. I think this is the one I want right here. I'm going to come right across that. Look at that. See how it changes the entire expression? We went from weird little dead guy to zombie in 1 second. Nice. The back of the brush is very useful for stuff like this. There. Now he's looking dead. Alright, so I put a hard and fast quick paint coat of latex all around the skull, and this part's real easy, real fast, doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm taking a cotton ball and I'm spreading it as thin as possible, and I'm just kind of laying it there. Now the difference between this and what I was doing before is when I come back with the latex, I'm going to be pressing it really hard because I want this to be flat. You know, if I can actually have no seam lines, that would be good. It's not going to probably be possible, but we can do a pretty good job of it. So all I'm doing is I'm shredding one end, shredding the other. That'll allow me later to blend it in a little bit easier. And I'm just coming across the skull. Tear, tear, spread, lay it down. Using the latex that I already put on there as glue. And basically I'm going to do the whole head that way, and then I'll come back with the brush and I'm going to press real hard and see if I can't get that completely covered, and then we can move to, once again, my favorite part, the neck. Alright, so as you can see, I've got the skull mostly covered now with cotton, and it, you know, creases and cracks are fine because it just looks like withered away skin. Plus the chances are we're going to cover most of it with hair anyway. Now I get to work on the neck. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay that on there really good. Use it as glue. And I'm going to find a nice, big, thick piece of cotton. Cotton selection is important. I'm going to shred the end like that. I'm going to connect it and bring it down a little bit, but I'm not going to bring it down along the neck all the way. I'm going to do something like that. And now we're starting to build the sinews and the muscles coming out. And like I've said half a dozen times before, that's really going to make or break your piece. Now there's a trick when doing this. Lots of latex in the brush. Glue the top down. Once again, lots of latex on the brush, and I am obviously just barely touching it. Now, once that dries, it ain't going anywhere. But the one step I have to do right now before I do anything else is take a hair dryer to it. Because I need it to be a little more firm before I start adding other layers on. So that's what I'm going to stop the camera and do right now, and we'll come back as we add more layers. Alright, so I hair dried it here for just a couple of minutes, just enough to kind of get it a little solid so it's not so mushy. But I realized at the previous angle you couldn't really see what I was doing. I mean, I can take almost 3 fingers and put it through here without touching anything. So I'm really coming off the neck here. And I'm going to continue that. Connecting it underneath here and down onto the chest. And basically I'm going to do that all the way around to start building out the neck. Once again, take a cotton, rip it off, that way it easily blends. I'm going to rip the bottom off on this one too. Bring it down just like that. Taking it about halfway up the skull on this side here, because the angle on this side of the neck is going to be a little less than the other, because his head's kind of turned. So I don't know if you can see that. For now we're starting to get a nice little piece here. I'll come back over with a layer of latex, I'll hit it with the hair dryer again, build the front out, and we're starting to really get something nice. Alright, so I've pretty much worked it around the neck here, and this is not my last layer, it's just my first layer. After this dries and gets firm, I'm going to go back and say, okay, what do I like, where do I want to add different throat muscles so I can create kind of an Adam's apple thing and, you know, whatever. But what I do notice here is I don't think this is extending out to the shoulder enough, so I want to bring this out a little more like that and show you what I was talking about. And I'm looking back at the camera. I guess you can kind of see how that really affects it. I mean, look how it's starting to turn now. So let me come back, and once again, with the latex, I've got to be so light, because if I press this down, it's going to go flat against the other piece, essentially making itself pointless. The cool thing about the latex is that you can build it out like this. There's actually, I'm sure you can't see it, but about, I don't know, half an inch between each sections here. And you can even either choose to leave those little gashes and splits there because you can fill those with blood and it's really gruesome and awesome looking. Or you can completely plug them up with more cotton or latex. And you don't have to waste all that material building it out. So it's kind of a cool side effect or feature of the process. So now you can kind of see how that's starting to take shape there. I'm going to bring this down in the front, and it's got a real nice neck starting to happen. And the plan is to come down, we'll blend it into the chest, work it out like that all the way down. It won't take long at all. I've probably only been working on this for about an hour. So far, so good. Alright, so now we're going to start working this thing down towards the chest. I've got the neck about where I want it for now. I'm going to come back and add all the different fun, cool stuff then. But while this is still wet, it's easier to blend when it's wet, so I didn't dry it completely. And I'm just going to kind of smear all this in there, get it nice and thick. And I'm going to bring, first I'm shredding the end, both ends. I'm going to put that right there, and I'm going to bring it down like that. And I'm going to do one just like it on the other side. Shred the ends. And liberally applying the latex. Softly bring it down. In case anybody out there has never done a video how-to, one truly noticeable thing is how much of a goober you feel like sitting in the basement, drinking rum and coke, talking to yourself while you do something like this. So, you know, just thought I'd throw that out there while I have nothing else to talk about. Alright, so now we're kind of starting to get that look. The muscles are there. Everything's there. Also, while I'm talking, in case you're wondering why each one of these segments is so short, and it's probably going to be fairly irritating to watch, it's because I broke my video camera tonight just prior to the shoot. So I'm using my wife's camera, which can only record in about a minute and a half or so segments. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it now and restart it in a second so that I don't lose any of this audio. Alright, so as you can see, I haven't moved a bit, but I did lose the risk of you not hearing what I was talking about as I was talking to myself, turning around and seeing that I was a few minutes into completing some work that you had no idea at all about. Alright. So we're starting to build that out. I'm picking my cotton strips a little more carefully now. I want the longer ones that I can kind of flatten out, because I'm going to start bringing these out along the chest area like so. We'll glue the top down. About that. Alright. We're getting somewhere. If at any time in this process you get a little turned around, confused, or have a question, once again, hit me up with my email, denhaunt@yahoo.com, denhaunt@yahoo. Once again, I'm noticing how strange it is that I'm talking to myself along in the basement. Alright, cool.